Hi everyone, welcome back. On this edition of the Academy Express, we're going to be working on what I'm calling the I'm out of quarantine, get the hair off of my head cut. So I think that in the coming weeks, months, I think what's going to happen is when we get back into the salon, we're going to be dealing with either the client that has grown her hair and is kind of into the length and wants to explore some of those different shapes, or she's going to be completely sick of it and wants it off. So this is going to be a short, very lived-in, choppy shape. You're going to need your scissors, about 5 clips, your comb, a water bottle if you're using a water bottle. I'll be using our Silk Nourishing Spray as my cutting lotion, and that's it. So grab your stuff, and I'll see you back here in a second. Okay, so we are ready to go, and we need to start with our sectioning. Sectioning is one of the most important parts about cutting hair because it's the roadmap to the end result of what you're doing. So if you don't have a clear understanding of where you're going, then putting in a really beautiful shape that's long-lasting is going to be a challenge. So with my sectioning, I always start with a profile parting from forehead down to the nape. Okay, this instance we're going to do that. We're also going to do a radial from ear to ear. So my radial is going from the crown to the top of the ear. Okay, you want to make sure that your sections stay nice and clean. I'm going to put the comb flat where the comb leaves the head. I'm going to rock it, comb the hair forward, and that's my section. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're just going to clip this section, that front section, right out of the way, and working from now this point, which again is part of our radial from ear to ear, we're going to come from this point and we're going to come just straight down from that point. So you see how I'm just holding this hair out of the way, and now I can push that hair that I don't want out of the way, and I can come through and clip it just to make it nice and clean. So this entire section, the front and what we just sectioned out, this is our side, okay? Our side panel. And now I'm just going to completely clip this up and out of the way. And now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we have our back, our sides, and our top sectioned out. We have one more section to do, and that's the fringe. Take slightly diagonal sections going forward to about high recession on both sides, and then clip out of the way. So we are ready to go. We are completely mapped out, and we're going to start with the fringe. Panel 2 will be the sides. Panel 3, we're going to drop down the back. We're going to cut our length in, and then we'll go into our layering. The way that we're going to cut the fringe is we're going to come down the center, and we're going to work one side then the other. You're going to work a graduated angle. So your knuckle will be on the forehead. You're going to over direct that hair forward. You're going to work from the longest piece will be extended from the tip of your triangular section. Okay, so that's going to be the longest piece. The shortest piece will be near the hairline. Nice tight tension. Come through and point cut. My next section, over directed into the center. So you will be getting longer towards the corners. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to just make sure you're over directing everything to the center and a graduated angle. Okay, so now we're going to do our sides. Each side will be done in a different manner because of the way in which we're going to be cutting it. So on the left side, I'll be standing behind my client, and on the right side, we'll be standing in front of the client. The reason being is because we want to work really short to long. So we're going to be raising our elbow up. Our fingers will be close to the head, and we're going to point cut. We're going to stand up nice and straight so that you can get a really nice angle, and then just point cutting, and you're going to work your way out. You're going to work straight out from each section until you get to the top of the ear, and then you're going to just slightly start to over direct forward as you move past the ear. Not a lot, but you will start to increase in length. You will start to get a little bit longer, just so it doesn't get like super flat here, and it will end up looking a bit too mullety for this shape. Before we get started, the end result of this whole haircut is going to be quite short. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of a lot of this hair so that I don't have to bother with it anyway. So I'm just going to come through, and I'm just going to take the length to about 2 inches below the hairline. The end result will be a bit shorter, but this will be much easier to control. Okay, so we're going to work on a slight diagonal back section. Just use a clip to keep myself organized. Combing from the base of my section, the fine teeth of the comb, and now I'm going to over direct, bring my elbow up. Now my fingertips are quite close to the hairline, and I'm going to point cut and slide my fingers at the same time. Combing straight out. Now I recomb a lot, and that's totally fine. It's just really to make sure that I can control what's in my hand. Okay, so I'm gonna look one more time. Now I know some people out there are like freaking out right now because it's so short, and that's okay. But when you understand why we're cutting it that short, it's gonna make sense. First, what we want to do is we want to work with the face shape, right? So we want to slim this area down. We want to create space for our fringe to sit into. So there's many different reasons why you would cut something so short there. Right now, we have the length from the corner of our fringe now has a place to go, okay? We also still have this area here that we're going to make really choppy and just kind of fill in the blanks a little bit too. But this is really just to slim down this area, and it's really nice to do, and it makes all the difference in the world when you have a fringe and then you open this piece up. It really just changes the face. It creates definition on the cheekbone area, and it's just very beautiful. So let's move on. Continuing with our slightly diagonal back sections. Over directing up. Now my fingers are basically pointing into the hairline. I can see my guide again. All right, not cutting past my knuckle. I'm going to continue on. Again, working slight diagonal backs. Continuing here. This is when I would start to over direct from this section forward. I would over direct a bit, just slightly forward. I don't know if you noticed that I recomb a few times, And that's really just to make sure that I'm getting everything cut all the way down to the bottom, okay, to the perimeter. Now, the whole purpose of this part is, for a nice transition from for the layering in the back. Again, there will be a little bit of disconnection, but not much. I don't want it to look too mullety. Okay. Hopefully, I'm not cutting into anybody's Tiger King viewing while we are quarantined. I'm wearing my tiger shirt for it. Okay, so side one is done. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, but we're going to be standing in front, so it's going to be slightly different. I'm standing in front of my mannequin now, and I'm going to be combing up, pointing my fingers towards the hairline. And I've cut my length in, and I'm going to just point cut. So now you can see, so I'm starting to over direct forward slightly. Okay, so the shape is starting to come together very nicely. So we have our fringe down, our two sides. Now we have to go to the back. We're going to first take the length up, and then we're going to go into our layering. So we're going to take the length up with your basic one length outline technique. So it's a center parting, and we'll take sections off of that, horizontal sections off of that. And we already have our guide on our corners from what we just did. So it's going to be very easy just to transition the back into the length that we've already created. So when it comes to the top is going to be layered a lot. So the length really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to blend it in with what we've already put in. Okay, so now let's get to the layering. So with the layering, we will be working round, and then we're going to be over directing everything into the center. So combing this hair up at 90 degrees. Now remember what I said in the beginning? The longest piece of the fringe, that's our guide. So this is too much hair for me to hold, so I'm going to take some of that out. Okay, so there's the longest piece of our fringe, and now I'm just going to be working from fingertip to knuckle and just following the shape of the head. And I know my neighbors think I'm crazy because I'm up at midnight filming this. People can walk by and they can see in my windows that I'm talking to myself, cutting a mannequin. Okay, so coming through, I'm going to take curved diagonal back sections. And I'm just going to over direct all this hair into the center and follow my guide. Point cutting. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on this side, and then we are done, except for the refining. So we have a little bit of refining and detail work to do. We're going to approach the back first because I just want to set it in just a little bit. Remember when we did the fringe and we did a graduation technique? We're going to do the same thing here. So what I've done is I've just gone through and I've taken a really deep triangular section through the back. Because she's already layered, we have our guides that we want to meet. So we have the longest piece here, and then we have the shortest bit here. So we just have to take off that little in between, and there's really not much. So you're going to approach it the same way that you basically did your fringe, or any type of, I don't want to say any type of graduation because some of us will be here for like 35 minutes, but you're going to come down the center. 35 minutes, I would be here for like an hour. Okay, come down the center. My knuckles are on the nape. Here's my longest bit. That's where I'm coming from, and I'm just gonna work it, tucking it right in to the guide at my nape. Just going to continue pivoting from the center piece, over directing to the center. You really shouldn't be cutting a lot off. Okay, your guides are right there for you. Meaning you've already layered this, so you already have your length here, and you've already cut your length here. So you're just taking off the middle. Same thing on the other side. Okay, it's all done. So now let's go to the front and detail out the front. So this is perfectly acceptable as a bobbed shape. And if you didn't want to go any further, you didn't have to. The shape would dry beautifully, and I mean, if you wanted it to stay this bob kind of feel, I would detail it for a bob. But that's not what I'm looking for, so I'm going to go through, and this disconnection, I'm still going to chop it up a bit. I want to create a shape, so as I go through, I'm looking at the hair, I'm looking at the fringe, I'm looking at the hairline here, like the length. And I do want there to be some irregularity to it. I don't want it all to be so uniform. So I will go through, and some bits will be shorter than others. And this is a great haircut for straight hair, curly hair, really curly hair. It looks awesome on. Because you get these definition with the curls, and a lot of curly hair girls don't get these really short haircuts because they think that it's going to look too triangular or a big round ball. But if you start to take space out for the curls to fall into, then they have a lot more options with their looks. So think about that as well. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be doing a curly hair shape, so keep an eye out for that. So you can see this shape is really, it's still there. There's still a fundamental shape to, just going through and like twisting. It's not that I'm just like cutting. I'm cutting for a shape. Moving the hair around. Seeing where it wants to live. All right, I'm really into this. So the basic shape is complete. We just have to dry her and then do a little bit more refining. The fringe I want to get into a little bit, but I always do that when the hair is dry. So let's start to dry. I'm going to be working with our Silk Nectar Serum. This is one of my favorite products, favorite serums for sure. So if I'm doing any type of blow dry work, I always prep the hair with this. It camouflages any type of, split ends. If you have any type of frizz in your hair, it's amazing for that. Gonna also work with our smoothing blow dry spray. So this is one of our newest products. Hasn't been on the market very long at all. If you do any type of blow dry work, it cuts down the actual blow dry time, and it extends the life of the blow dry by a few days. It's really awesome. The hair feels super soft and shiny. Well, shiny isn't a feel. It feels super soft. It looks very shiny and healthy, and it's a really, really great product. So try it. Again, it hasn't been out very long. When it comes to the blow dry, I'm going to be working with a flat brush. I want no type of volume in there, so I would never work with a round brush on this look. But I do want a little bit of texture on those ends. So you'll see that I'm going to kick it around every now and then as I'm drawing. And I'm going to work from side to side because I do want this pretty flat. By no means do I want it to look like pin straight or like a board. So there will be some movement left in it. Okay, so now let's go through and do some detail work. Right around here, I feel like it's just a little heavy. So just kind of come through, and where I see the weight, it's going to come through. So I'm sliding my fingers and I'm working the scissors back and forth. I'm not looking for big chunks to come out. I'm looking just to soften the shape up. And again, every time I take a section and I take a little bit of weight out, I always drop that hair down and I move it around and I see how it's falling. What does it feel like in my hands? Then I move on. So I like what's going on with the fringe, but I want to change it. It's cute, it's good, it's acceptable, but I feel like I want it a little bit choppier and a little bit softer. So I'm going to go through and do a combination of channel and surface cutting, and that's just going to break it up slightly. Now I'm not looking to see like big chunks taken out, but I do want it softer and piecier, so if she wants to wear it to the side or just a bit more defined, she'll be able to do that quite easy. Okay, so just coming through and doing a bit of refining. Really want to just soften out that fringe, and I'm only cutting from the mid shaft to right before the ends. Okay, so I'm not at the scalp at all. You have to really be careful with that. And then I want to come through this top area that I sectioned out. I sectioned away. I just want to see the weight distribution here. It's really just like right in this area here. So I'm going to comb this down to natural fall. And I'm just going to come through on the surface of the hair. So the other technique, I was being a bit more aggressive, and that was more channel cutting. So this is going to be more surface cutting. You're just cutting the surface of the hair, so that really just will move around, and when you have like a little bit of wave in your hair, it'll kick around. And if you you want to have a little bit more definition with product, it's easy to see. The channel cutting that I was doing on the underneath, that's really putting like a bit more aggressive like channels in there. So to separate the hair, it'll be very easy to get those like short bits that you like to see. I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. I have some clients that I have in my head that I think that this would look adorable on, and they're probably going to be watching this too because they're just as stuck as we are, so maybe they'll call me and request it. And yeah, so I hope that your clients like it as well. I hope that you like it, and I will see you next week. I'll be working on a styling technique. So have a great week, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.